Okay, hello everybody, I'm Admiral Tumbleweed, and today is the start of a new series. History of Legends, to bring you the history of your favorite ships in World of Warships Legends. Today's subject is HMS London. HMS London was a County-class heavy cruiser of the Royal Navy, laid down in Portsmouth Dockyard on the 23rd of February 1926, as a new subclass of the County-class heavy cruisers. She was the lead ship of the London subclass, which had a smaller superstructure that allowed for less armor to be used for the superstructure. She was launched on the 14th of September 1927 and entered service with the fleet at the end of January 1929. She then served with the 1st Cruiser Squadron until 1939, during which she was the flagship of Admiral Max Horton during his command of the squadron. Although command would change in 1936 with Vice Admiral Charles Kennedy Purvis taking over, she would still remain a part of the squadron. In September 1937, along with her sister ship Sussex, she made a week-long goodwill visit to Venice. Following this, she and another sister, the Sopwithshire, or however you say it, I'm sorry, I don't know English cities, helped evacuate thousands of civilians from Barcelona during the Spanish Civil War. In March of 1939, she returned to the UK for a major reconstruction. Her appearance was seriously altered with a new superstructure that more resembled the Fiji-class light cruisers. She was also fitted with an improved main armor belt that allowed for better protection over the machinery spaces. She would be the only ship of her class to receive this refit, due to the rest of the class being needed for the new conflict. After her dockyard work was finished, London was put right into the war. She began her wartime career by assisting in the hunt for the German battleship Bismarck, but she never met the Bismarck in battle. During her time at sea, cracks began forming on the hull due to the weight of the new superstructure. She returned to the UK in October for repairs that lasted until February 1942. London then spent from March 1942 to November 1942 in the North Atlantic on convoy protection duties. This period of operations in the heavy North Atlantic seas caused hull cracks and popped rivets in her lower hull, necessitating for the ship again going into the dry dock in December of 1942 for strengthening of her hull and fitting of newer and more refined radar, and of course, more light anti-aircraft guns. This refit resuscitated her hull and was completed in May 1943, with the ship ready for sea in July. She was then assigned to operate off the South African coast and then to the Eastern Fleet for the rest of the war. Following the Second World War, and being the Royal Navy's only modernized 8-inch gun cruiser, London was then refitted for further service in early 1946 to allow her to serve in the post-war fleet. Following the refit, she sailed for the Far East in 1946, and then served there for the next 3 years on the China Station. In the spring of 1949, the frigate, I know, I'm unprofessional. That's why you love me. In the spring of 1949, the frigate Amethyst became trapped by advancing communist Chinese forces up the Yangtze River. London then sailed up the river as a show of strength in an attempt to help free the frigate. The communist forces were not intimidated and took the cruiser under fire. London returned fire with her 8-inch and 4-inch guns, firing several hundred rounds, but was hit several times. Her 2 forward 8-inch turrets and X-turret aft were damaged and rendered inoperable, and her bridge sustained several hits. London retreated down the river and returned to Hong Kong for repairs, which lasted until the end of July. London remained in Chinese waters until August of 1949, when she was relieved by HMS Kenya, and she returned to the UK in autumn of 1949. London was surveyed to determine if an extensive repair or refit for further service was feasible, but the condition of her machinery, which dated back to 1928 and was not replaced during any of her refits, as well as a large crew she was required to made her too expensive a proposition. Given Britain's post-war financial difficulties, she was retired to the reserve fleet in the River Fall until scrapped in 1950. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's something new on the channel and something I've been wanting to do for a while. If you liked it, please like, and even if you ain't got nothing else to do, might as well subscribe. Not much happens here, but something eventually does. Thanks.